Welcome back to the Chris Salcedo Show. I'm John Tobacco, filling in for Chris today. The Department of Defense has failed its fifth audit. Yeah, 5. Auditors studied the department's $3.5 trillion in assets and $3.7 trillion in liabilities and found that they couldn't account for about 61% of its assets, worth about $1.8 trillion. Meanwhile, the IRS is warning Americans they're going to be cracking down on any payments over $600 on Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. So you know when you Venmo and your Cash App and your kids or your friends and everything else, anything over $600, they're coming for you with those 87,000 IRS agents. But to break it down even further, joining me now is Texas Congresswoman, member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee's House Small Business Committee, Beth Van Duyne. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. Every taxpayer dollar spent by government should be accounted for, the way I see it. And when you gain the majority, I would imagine that's going to be a priority. How do you and your Republican colleagues plan to get this reckless spending, or at least reckless oversight, under control?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you asking that question. Yeah, can you imagine any other business that could fail 5 audits and not be able to account for over $1 trillion worth of its budget? It's absolutely insane. We have to hold them accountable. I recently introduced legislation that would do exactly that. We've got, departments within our own government, our federal government, that are supposed to annually look at all of these agencies and do their own internal audit and make recommendations. Is this necessary? Is this overspending? Is this duplicative? And we're finding that that's not happening. So the bill that I introduced would actually force an outside audit agent to come in and look at those agencies under a fine-tooth comb and say, this is what's working, this is what's not, this is what's got to go. We haven't done that in years, and unfortunately, you're seeing the cause of what's happening is you're getting $1 trillion that you can't even account for. At the same time, they want to have you have to mark up anything that's $600 with, as you mentioned, 87,000 new IRS agents. Part of the commitment to America, starting from day one, is Congress has the power of the purse. And to make sure that we are cutting off the funding for those additional 87,000 IRS agents that are going to come after you while they still can't do their own job looking internally at what the government is spending. We're also going to make sure that those funds and those resources are sent where they need to be sent, which is, as a Texan, I'm looking at our southern border and making sure that we're protecting our country.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm just regular old, college student, but my math is they can't find 60% of the assets. We're at 3.5, so they're missing $1.8 trillion worth of assets, but they've found 3.7 trillion worth of liabilities. So it sounds like we're out of whack by $2 trillion, which is really scary considering, as you said, we need all the money we can get to secure our border. And in November, 73,000 illegal immigrants evaded Border Patrol. At least 98 terrorists were in there, crossed over the border this year alone. The open border is inviting criminals, deadly drugs into our communities. But as it seems, the current occupier of the White House doesn't think it's that big of a deal. Take a listen to this, and I want to get your response.
Mr. President, why go to a border state and not visit the border? It's more important than going on. We're going to invest billions of dollars in the enterprise.
What could be more important going on than a secure border?
He's too busy. He's too busy. Let's see what he's done this week. How many Christmas parties has he attended at the White House? While he's eating Maine lobster and drinking champagne with Hollywood royalty, this disgrace is happening at our border. And as you mentioned, yes, we have tens of thousands of people that are coming over illegally every month, but it's also the human toll. It's the fentanyl that's coming into our streets, that's coming into our school, that's killing our youth. You look at a father in the eye who has lost a child to gang violence that came over from the border, and you tell them, we got other problems. I'm just too busy. You're the president of the United States. You have agencies at your beck and call that you are in control over. have them do their job. One of the first orders that a number of my colleagues and I have stated is that Mayorkas has got to go. He's not doing his job. He's taken off every single tool in the toolbox that was working under the Trump administration to keep order at the border. He's taken those off specifically to get the mess that they have right now. And he has got to be impeached. He has got to be removed. And this president has got to get control not only of his cabinet, but the safety and the national security of our country. Stop with the Christmas dinners. Stop with the Hollywood kiss up, and get back to your job.
No question about it. One of the things he's been doing a really bad job on, of course, the economy. Inflation hit 7.7% in October. Americans are certainly feeling it this holiday season. About 70% of the wholesale Christmas tree growers out there say they will need to raise their prices by up to 20% this year. So Biden's economy is even striking Christmas in the pocketbook. Hopefully, you guys can get the spending under control.
When you look at inflation, what it's caused is people who are now looking at Christmas holiday seasons, saving up, being able to pay just to put food on their table, have honestly lost almost an entire month's salary with inflationary costs. And you're talking 20%. I mean, that's high and above the 8% that they're seeing. And these costs continue to go up. And again, they're policies that are creating these issues and a lack of focus on things like supply chain, on things like labor shortages, on inflation. There are policy decisions that have caused them, and there are policy decisions that could rectify them. But we've got an administration that just keeps throwing its hands up in the air and saying, it's not a problem. Hopefully
no big deal.
Back, next month, you're going to see with a commitment to America and some other really very strong policies that Republicans have introduced. Thousands of bills that we've introduced over the last 2 years that have gone ignored because we're not in the majority. We can't even pull them out of committee to be able to get voted on the floor. You're going to start seeing some action happen. Yeah,
well, look, there's a lot of action going on in Georgia, and hopefully we can pull one out there. Last minute Hail Mary, Herschel for the win. But no matter what, you guys over in the House will have the people's House back in our hands. And hopefully, the way I see it, that'll be one firewall to cut off this crazy spending. Thank you so much.
You need it back. We don't have it right now. House, Senate, presidency, you need it back.
We want it all. But hopefully we get one of them for Christmas, Herschel or something. But thank you very much, Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne.